Hello everyone and welcome to the class of business study. So dear students, as you know that we have already started chapter 2nd. Now this is part 3rd video. In the previous video we have finished sole proprietorship firms and joint Hindu family, their features, merits and demerits. Now in this video we are going to take these contents, that is partnership, features, merits and limitation, and cooperative society and its features. Now we will go one by one, starting with partnership. When we say the word partnership, means there are in any business, to start any business or any enterprises, there are more than two or more than two partners who are involved in the business, who share their profit, who bear all the losses, and who all together invest in the business. So this particular this is an advantage for partnership, but there were certain disadvantages in sole proprietorship business. So when we saw those disadvantages, we come to the conclusion that there is another form of business enterprises which has got advantage of all these, and it can be that it is financing and managing and expanding business. That means everything, that is, it is managed, it is owned and it is controlled by two person or more than two person. And partnerships serve as an answer to the needs of greater capital investment. That means, as I said, that there can be two or more than two members. That means the capital investment, that is the investment of the money or the investment, can be much more. Okay. In case of sole proprietorship, where only one single person is there, so the minimum capital investment is there. Okay. Because he cannot ask from anyone, because he is the only person to start the business, to continue the business. Whereas in partnership, when we have more members, so it is actually a very good advantages also, that capital investment will be increased, varied skills and sharing of risk. That means each and every member, if they have different skills, different creativity, they can all imply those creativity and skills in the business, and specialization can come. Even the risk or the losses can be shared easily with everyone. So we can say that liabilities to the members are limited only. The Indian Partnership Act 1932 defines partnership as the relation. That means if we wanted to define the partnership according to the Partnership Act 1932 legally, so it can be the relation between persons, that means more than two persons, who have agreed to share the profit. That means all of them, all the members have agreed to share the profits equally, carried on by all. That means the business which is carried on, which is continued by all, or any one of them acting for all, or it can be any one of them who is acting in behalf of all. Now some features of partnership. Now features here means characteristics. The first is formation. As far as formation is concerned, formation means when you need to start the business. So to form the business, the partnership form of business organization is governed by Indian Partnership Act. That means you need to take the registration, you need to make registration as far as the Partnership Act 1932. So according to this, you can start the business. It comes into existence through a legal agreement. That means, as I said, these all business are legal business, valid business. So you need to seek registration, you need to seek permission. So it is existing through a legal agreement, that means signed by all the partners together, wherein the terms and conditions governing the relationships among the partners, that means there are certain terms and conditions, and all the partners who agreed to start the business together, who signed the deal or agreement, they need to take care of all the rules and regulation. They need to follow all the rules and regulation. The sharing of profit, whatever the ratio may be, and losses and the manner of conducting the business are specified. That means everything will be very clear, that whatever share of profit all will take care, or all will share, the share in losses, the investment, the rules and regulations, their relationship with each other, and the business, how to conduct the business. Each and everything must be clear when they start the business. And agreement, that means all must agree with all the rules and regulation. It may be pointed out that the business must be lawful. That means, of course, it is very necessary that the business must not be illegal. It must be legal and lawful and run with the motive of profit. That means it's an economic activities. So obviously, it must be done to earn profit only. Thus, two people coming together for charitable, that means as I said, this is an economic activity. So all partnership form of business must be done to earn profit only. In case if it is a charitable purpose, or if it is people are together for some charitable purpose, it will not be constituted. That means it will not be considered as a partnership form of business. Why? Because that is a non-economic activity where you are serving the society, where you are doing the work, or you are together for charity purpose. So that will not be considered as partnership form of business. Second is liability. When we say liability, means it is accountability, it is responsibility of each and every member. So here when there are many partners, the partners of a firm have unlimited liability. That means each and every partners have unlimited liability with them, rest with them. Personal assets may be used for repaying debts. That means there, of course, personal assets can be used at the time of losses, at the time of debt, to repay the dues. Their personal properties can be used, that can be their house, their automobiles, anything, or if it is insufficient. Further, the partners are jointly and individually liable, that is responsible for payment of debts. That means, as I said, for considering or for paying of all the dues, each and every partner is responsible for that. Jointly all the partners are responsible for the debts. That means individually also and jointly also all the members are liable for the paying of the dues, and they need to contribute some proportion from their personal property also at time when they require so, and as such they are liable to certain extent. Individually too, each partner can be held responsible. That means individually also their personal properties can be taken away. However, such a partner can later recover from others, and whatever dues they have paid from their personal properties, everything they can recover after some time. That is, whenever they will get a good share of profit or good amount of profit. Third is risk bearing. As I said that there are many members, so the risk will be divided, will be distributed among everyone. The partners bear the risk involved in running a business as a team. That means it is a team spirit, okay. So each and every member is responsible for bearing or for incurring losses. That is, in the previous points we discussed that each and every one must contribute from their personal property. That is, whatever personal assets they have, they need to contribute to pay off the dues in the form of profits which are shared by the partners. That means the share of profit, it is in group also, it is distributed in group also, it is distributed individually also. So whatever their share of profit or ratio of profit, from them, from that they need to contribute for the dues. However, they also share losses in the same ratio. That means just like they share the profit, the losses ratio should also be done like that only in the event of the firm incurring losses. Fourth is decision making and control. All the partners shares among themselves the responsibility of decision making and control of day-to-day activities. That means whatever they are doing day-to-day basis, whatever activities are done, each and every member's suggestions and their opinions should be taken care by. It is very important, and the partners share everything with each one of them. Their responsibilities are of course distributed. Decisions are generally taken with mutual consent. That means they need to seek suggestions, opinions from each and every one. Then only they come to one conclusion or one decision. So it is said that generally it is taken with mutual consent. That means after discussing everyone. Thus, the activities of a partnership firm are managed through the joint efforts of all the partners. That is, all the activities are done by the joint efforts of all the individuals. Fifth is continuity. Partnership is characterized by lack of continuity. Just like sole proprietorship business, in which we have discussed that after the death of the partner or if he becomes insane, the business wind up or business close. Whereas in partnership form of business, the same thing applies. That is characterized by lack of continuity of business, since the death, retirement, insolvency or insanity of any partner can bring an end to the business. That means if any one partner after his death or after he become insane, if all of them, other partners, if they all are agreed, then they can wind up the business. However, the remaining partners may, if they, or it can be the case that if the remaining partner may desire to continue the business after him, they can continue or they can do so. Okay. Now, number of partners, the minimum number of partners needed to start a partnership firm is actually 2. From, if there is one partner, it is sole proprietor business obviously, but if it is 2, they can start a partnership firm of business. It can be more than 2. According to sections 464 of the Companies Act 2013, maximum number of partners in a partnership firm can be 100. Okay, according to Companies Act 2013, subjected to the number of prescribed by the government. As per the Rule 10, then again there was a revision, the 10 of the Companies Act Miscellaneous Rules 2014. At present, the maximum number of members can be 50. That is minimum 2, and with maximum 50, you can start your partnership form of business. Now, there are certain merits of this partnership form of business. It is ease of formation and closure. That means when there are more members, 2, minimum and maximum 50, they can, what is the ease of starting a business? A partnership firm can be formed easily, just like we are doing sole proprietorship business. A partnership form of business is also easily can be started by putting an agreement between the prospective partners into place, whereby they agree to carry out the business. That means when all the partners who are joined together to start a business, if all of them agreed with the partnership deed, okay, whatever deal or agreement they have signed so far, so they can easily start the business without any problems. There is no compulsion with respect to registration. That means the partnership form of business, there is no compulsion of registration process. Closure of the firm too is a very easy task. That means the formation as well as closure or wind up of the business, it is very easy. So without much legal formalities, you can do so. Second is balanced decision making. That means as I said, that all the partners must agree on one decision. That means there must not be any conflict, there should not be any disputes or quarrels or fight between taking the decisions. So everybody's suggestions and opinions must be invited properly. The partnership can oversee different functions according to their areas of expertise. That means each and every partners are expert or specialized in their own skill. So everybody's opinion and suggestion must be welcomed, must be invited, because an individual is not forced to handle different activities. One person cannot be all-rounder, he cannot handle everything. So whatever partners are there, 4, 5, 6 or more than that, all are expert in their own area. So their ideas must be taken care, and accordingly the decision must be made. And because of this, it reduces the burden also. That means when there are more creativity, each and every person is creative in his or her field, so the burden of workout, the stress of the work will be actually reduced, and also leads to fewer errors. That means there will not be any mistakes or errors in the judgment, that is making decisions. As a consequence, decisions are likely to be more balanced. Then third is more funds. When more members are there, then more funds can be absorbed or more funds can be invited. In a partnership, the capital is contributed by a number of partners. That means in this form of business, each and every person are contributing to the business, that is their capital investment. So this makes it possible. So there can be a bulk amount or bulk capital investment can be done, and it possible to raise larger amount of funds. That means when larger amount of funds are there, they can start the business at large scale, on large scale, and to raise larger amount of funds as compared to a sole proprietor, because in sole proprietor there is only one single individual. Whatever property he has, whatever funds he has, he is going to invest that only. But when more partners are there, so each and everyone's funds or each and everyone's property, if it is invested, then we can accumulate larger amount of funds, and they can be ready for further operations also. Fourth is sharing of the risk. The risk involved in running a partnership firm are shared by all the partners. That is, as I said, that profits are shared, same way there is a equal proportion of loss also. So it is also shared by each and everyone. So this reduces the anxiety, the burden and the stress on any one individual partner, because all are sharing the risk. So there is no burden on one person only, the burden must be done, or burden must be contributed, or it is shared by everyone. Then fifth is secrecy. Secrecy means in a business there are certain information which are very confidential, which must be kept secret from other competitors. So in a partnership firm is not legally required. That means in partnership firm it is not legally required to publish its accounts and submit its reports in the media or in the newspaper or in any ways. Okay. So because of this, they are able to maintain the confidentiality of the business, of information which is related to their operations, day-to-day activities. Now there are certain limitations also besides advantages. That first is unlimited liability. When we say talk about liability, it is responsibility or accountability of each and every member. And as I said that the liability is unlimited, of course it's an advantage, but it is a disadvantage also, because partners are liable to repay the debts, whatever the firm is incurring losses or debts or the to pay off the dues. Their personal property sometimes is being taken care from their personal resources in case the business assets are not sufficient. That means whatever profit which the business has earned, if it is insufficient to pay off the dues, then from each and every partners, their personal property can also be taken to pay off the dues. So this is one of the disadvantages. The liability of partner is both joint as well as in individually, and several which may prove to be drawback. That means individually and jointly all are actually responsible to pay off the dues for the debts. So it can be a drawback for those partners who have greater personal wealth. That means those partners who have greater wealth, their most of the wealth can be will be taken care, because just to pay off the dues or debts of the firm. They will have to repay the entire debt in case the other partners are unable to do. That means there are, say for example, there are 5 partners in which only 2 partners are there who have huge wealth with them, good property with them. They need to pay more in comparison to those who have less wealth or less property. So this can be one of the drawback or disadvantages also. Second is limited resources. There is a restriction on the number of partners. That means of course there is a restriction, it can be 2 or maximum 50 only, and hence contribution in terms of capital investment is usually not sufficient to support large scale business or operations. That means when more members are there, okay, they require more and more members to start the business at a with a huge capital investment, then only they can think of the large scale business. Sometimes it happens that members are very less, and whatever capital accumulation is done or capital investment is done, it is not sufficient to start the large scale business. So sometimes it may be a drawback also. As a result, partnership firm faces problem for expansion of the business. That means business they have started, but they can't expand the business because of insufficient funds. Possibility of conflicts when more people are there, okay, more minds and more brains are working, there can be chances of certain conflicts, disputes or fights or quarrel. Why? Because each and everyone's opinions are different from one another. So partnership is run by a group of persons wherein decision making authority is shared, whereas difference in opinion, that means this is the main problem, when there is a difference in opinion, some issues may lead to disputes, quarrels between partners. Further, decision of one partners are binding on other. That means the one person who is taking the decision, his decisions are binded or bounded on others also. So sometimes there is certain conflicts because of this, because of different opinions. Thus, an unwise decision by someone, that means it may be possible that because of one person, if his decision is not a good, it has certain problems or it will have certain problems. So because of that unwise decision, the result will be bared by each and every partner, the whole firm, and there can be some financial ruin for all others in case a partner desires to leave the firm. That means in case because of this a partner desires to leave the firm, this can result in termination of partnership, as there is a restriction on transfer of ownership. That means in partnership form of business, your ownership, your individuality cannot be transferred to some other partner just because you wanted to leave the firm in between. So this is also one of the drawback. Fourth is lack of continuity. Partnership comes to an end with the death, retirement, insolvency or lunacy of any partner. So it may result in lack of continuity. That means the business cannot be run for a longer period of time just because we think that there are many members. If one person dies, or if because of any problem if he leaves the firm, then the business can be continued. Business can be continued, but when all must be ready for it. So this is one of the drawback also, that is the business cannot be continued for a longer period of time because of these reasons. However, the remaining partners can enter into fresh agreement. That means whatever remaining partner there, again they need to revise the partnership agreement and they need to start with a fresh start with another one more partnership form of business. Then fifth is lack of public confidence. Now public confidence here means the customers, the suppliers, the distributor, the whole society, whatever their outlook or whatever their feedback is for the business. A partnership firm is not legally required to publish its financial reports, as we have discussed earlier. that whatever their financial matters are there, whatever their operations or activities, whatever they are doing in business, they don't need to publish all this in any newspaper, magazines or so on. So, and other related information also. So, it is therefore difficult for any member of the public to ascertain the true financials. That means it is difficult for the society, for the public to ascertain or to calculate what kind of business it is, and the business have growth or development or so on. People cannot accumulate or people cannot ascertain or assume about your business. As a result, the confidence of the public in partnership firm is generally very low. Now, after finishing partnership form of business, the next is cooperative society. When we say cooperative society, with the cooperation, okay, with understanding, with coordination of all. So, this is also one of the form of business enterprises besides sole proprietorship, partnership, joint Hindu family, and this is cooperative society we are starting today. The word cooperative of course means working together and with others for a common purpose. That means it is working together and with others for a common purpose. Of course, this kind of business, it is for earning profit also, but there is one common or goal or purpose of these business. The cooperative society is a voluntary association of persons. That means voluntarily, willingly you are starting the business, willingly you are joined in that business, and with association of persons who join together with the motive of welfare of the members. That means for the welfare of all other members, people join together to start this business for some common purpose. Okay. Now, they are driven by the need to protect their economic interest. That means each and every partner tries to save their own fulfill their own economic interest. And what is the economic interest? To earn maximum profit in the face of possible exploitation at the hands of middlemen obsessed with the desire to earn greater profit. Of course, in the business we can see that there are certain middlemen or agent or mediators, okay, distributors or suppliers who take their own commission, you know, or agents who are taking their own commission, and because of which the profit is reduced. Okay. So far here in cooperative society, this kind of attitude is not there. Why? Because they started, these all members in the association, they are starting this business just to reduce the exploitation in the hands of middlemen or the mediator. The Cooperative Society is compulsorily required to be registered under the Cooperative Society Act 1912. That means since that act, this particular kind of business seeks registration, compulsory registration. Of course, it is a lawful or legal business also. The process of setting up these cooperative society is very simple. Just like formation, we say it is very easy, simple to start, enough, and at the most what is required is the consent of at least 10 adult persons to form a society. That means at least there must be 10 people who cross their major age, that who are adult members, they can start the business, and with the consent of each, and that means with mutual consent, these 10 adult members can start the business easily. The capital of a society is raised from its members. That means whatever capital accumulation, the investment is done, which is raised or which is taken care or contributed by each and every member of the society through issue of shares. That means this particular amount of funds or investment can be raised through issue of shares. The society acquires a distinct legal identity after its registration, and after its registration, this particular society acquires a different outlook. Now, some features are there. Voluntary membership. Voluntary means willingly. Okay, willingly each and every member becomes a part of this kind of form of business enterprises. The membership of a cooperative society is voluntarily done, willingly. A person is free to join a cooperative society and can also have any time as per his desire. That means he can anytime leave the firm also as per his desire, and anytime he can start the business also with his consent. There cannot be any compulsion for him to join or quit a society. That means there is no compulsion by any member in the cooperative society that any person who wanted to join the firm can start and can join, and can anytime quit or leave the firm also. Although procedurally a member is required to serve a notice. That means just before leaving the firm, he is required to give a prior notice for leaving the society. and there is no compulsion to remain a member, that after leaving the firm he is not compulsorily welcomed in the society and he is no more a member. Membership is open to all, that means membership of cooperative society is open to all who attain the major age, irrespective of their religion, caste and gender. That means anyone can start the business, and but the thing which is required is they must attain the age of majority. Now registration of a cooperative society is compulsory. Just like I said, this is a legal form of business, so registration is very much required for this, and this accords a separate identity to the society which is distinct from its member. That means this particular society is different from its member, whereas in case of partnership and sole proprietorship form of business, they are one and single identity, whereas in cooperative form of society, the cooperative society enterprises or this form of business is different, has different identity from its members. The society can enter into contracts and hold property in its name, sue and be sued by others. Now, as a result of being a separate legal entity, that means as this particular cooperative society has a separate legal entity or separate legal body from its members, it is not affected by the entry or exit. That means no matter any person can enter the business, any member can exit the business. It does not affect the business at all. Limited liability, the liability of each and every member of a cooperative society is very limited to the extent of the amount which is contributed by them. That means all 10 members, with 10 members if you are starting the business, whatever your contribution ratio is there or investment ratio is, according to that you will get the profit, and accordingly your liability will be decided by them as capital. This defines the maximum risk that a member can be asked to bear. And because of this, you are sometimes told to bear the risk at maximum. Then fourth is control. In a cooperative society, the power to take decisions lies in the hands of an elected management committee. That means all members are not required to give their suggestions or all are not invited in decision making process. There is a separate management committee in which only few members are there who are there to make decisions, to manage, to control and own the cooperative society. Other members are also there, but they are not part of decision making process. The right to vote gives the members of a chance to choose the members who will constitute. That means all the members are, there is a voting, it is a kind of election or voting process by which the management committee is being selected, okay, or elected we can say, and this lends the cooperative society a democratic character, and because of this kind of society has a democratic kind of character. Fifth is service motive. As I said that this is done for welfare of each and every member. So service motive is there. Service means for the help, for the charity purpose. The cooperative society through its purpose lays emphasis on the value of mutual help and welfare. That means all the members, some are in management committee, some are in not, but all the members are there for the mutual welfare of each and everyone. Hence the motive of service dominates its working. That means their motive dominates, that is rather than earning the profit, their motive is to give service, okay, help others. If any surplus is generated, if any surplus profit is generated as a result of its operation, that means because of all the operation activities, if they are gaining with more profit or surplus or extra profit, it is distributed amongst the member as dividend. That means all the members will get the share of profit, and if it is surplus profit, they will all get in the form of dividend. Is conformity with the bylaws of the society, that means according to the laws of the society. Now this is all about cooperative societies and partnership form of business. In the next video we will go again with cooperative society, their merits, demerits and other form of enterprises. Till then, thank you, goodbye.